Aloha and welcome to the 9th episode of the 2Close2Call podcast. Today we got a great show lined up for you. We take it back to an earlier segment, the Take It With a Grain of Salt segment, where Pags sends some rapid fire questions at me where I let him know if that is a hot take or a cold take. We discuss Mariano Rivera being the first unanimous player voted into the Hall of Fame. We then discuss the steroid era players such as Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. After that, we get into MLB Free Agency talk and if these assholes Machado and Harper are ever going to sign anywhere or if they're just going to take the entire year off. But after that, we get into a little bit of association talk where I discuss where Carmelo's going to end up after his recent trade from the Bulls and how he's going to help a team down the stretch. And then we touch on if the NBA is actually over, and if anybody can beat the Warriors, or if we're just watching this just to see how many games they'll win it in. So after that, we finally discussed the bombshell report that came out of Philadelphia this week that stated that players within the Eagles locker room are not big fans of Carson Wentz, and it's the Philadelphia Carsons and not the Philadelphia Eagles. We touch on whether or not we see this being an issue moving into next year, and if the Eagles can move on and regroup from possibly losing the best quarterback in franchise history, Nick Foles. After this, we get into our interview for the week with Michael Fay, offensive lineman, left guard for Kent State University, who actually blocked for his quarterback, Julian Edleman, for 2 years at Kent State, and he actually also played against Sean McVay in 1 year. So for all of you out there seeing those highlights in the comments of the time they played together in 2007, well, Mikey Fay was on the sidelines for that game, taking it in. So we get some behind-the-scenes stories about Julian, what he was like during his college time. We also ask Mike if he ever thought it was possible to see somebody like Julian turn from a 7th-round pick into a possible Hall of Fame wide receiver. So I think you guys are going to want to listen. Come on in. But first of all, this podcast wouldn't be possible without our sponsor, theramking.com. The Ram King, the best in the business for all your t-shirt needs. Go to theramking.com where you can get free designs, free quotes. He does long sleeve tees, short sleeves, hoodies, whatever you need, whether you're a high school teacher or you're looking for a bachelor party t-shirt. Visit theramking.com or give us a shout out. Reach out to us via email. We'll give you guys the friends and family discount. We'll get you hooked up and get you exactly what you need in the least amount of time possible. So once again, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, and it's going to be fun.
Coach, you were 5-79 last year. Why the playoff talk?
Well, we made a couple of key trades, and we got the funk.
Oh, well, glory be, the funk's on me, Bobby.
Keep that funk alive. Keep that funk alive.
Well, it's 1975, and we'll just be keeping the funk alive. So what
Welcome to the 9th episode of the 2Close2Call podcast. I'm your co-host, Miho, here with my boy, Pags. Pags, what's up, man?
Hey, man, life is good, but slipped on my ass going out to get a package in the front door because of this goddamn weather in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you guys got more ice up there in Allentown than we did here in Philly, so apparently you didn't shovel or throw some salt down, huh?
No, DJ, our guest from last week came up. I just decided it'll melt, and yeah, it didn't. Felt bad for the UPS guy that had to bring the package up to the front door because there's just so much ice, and I have one of those Ring doorbells so I can watch it over and over again, watching myself fall.
Oh, there you go, right? Maybe we'll throw it online for you guys.
Fat ass with no shirt on slipping. So, Kev, 9th episode here. You take any thought into what number 9 you were going to go with today?
Favorite number 9, right? Quite a few options across the board. A few names pop into your head, but honestly, I'm going to give you 3, and I'm going to end with the one who my choice is, okay? You ready?
I'm ready.
A lot of these early numbers were taken by these old heads playing in the 20s, 30s, what have you. First, I have the best hitter who's ever played the game to this point, the last guy to hit 400, Mr. Ted Williams, rock number 9 for the Sox years and years and years ago. Ultimate respect to maybe the greatest hitter who ever lived. Also, there's a gentleman who they call Mr. Hockey, Gordie Howe. You know, the ultimate respect there for hockey. But my favorite number 9, the only man to bring me the Lombardi Trophy, Pags.
Oh,
Who do we got?
baby.
Big Dick Nick.
Biggest appendage of all.
Foles.
Foles. Not only his jersey number, but also the length of his wiener.
That's it, man. It was a double whammy there. I had to pull the Foles, right? But,
Dude,
yeah, I didn't think it'd be Foles,
awesome.
but it sure is.
Dude, those are just some epic number 9s right there.
I'm telling you. Who'd you take, by the way?
Well, I was going to go with Nick, obviously.
Sucker!
But I'll go with the other 9, Drew Brees. Mad respect for that guy. I actually had a chance to meet him one time down at William & Mary. He was nothing but class. All-around great guy.
Yeah, how long ago was that?
Fan of him. So it was 2009. We have a Nike Pro Camp at William & Mary every year, and we get up at 5 a.m. to go work out. And one day we're out there, and there was rumors that Drew was going to work out with us. And my one buddy's like, Drew's out there. And I was like, nah, no way. Like, come on.
Is he with the Saints at this point? Yeah, he just won the Super Bowl.
He's with the Saints.
Or he's about to win the Super Bowl.
He had already won the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I had told him, Drew, can you take it easy on my Eagles this year? And he goes, no, I can't do that. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't expect you to.
Ooh, kill him.
But it was so funny because I go out there and I'm stretching and I'm like, dude, they're full of shit. He's not here. And all of a sudden I look in front of me and there's just a 6-foot dude just in all black stretching. And I was like, oh, shit, it's Drew Brees. He ran with the old lineman because he didn't feel like going hard.
Who else did you see at some of those camps when you were there?
One time I was sitting in my locker and I hear this voice and I'm like, I know that freaking voice. Turn around. Who is it? Brett Favre.
No way, Favre.
Yeah, there's some good ones, man. Favre was there. I was working the camp when Witten was there, and a kid raised his hand and asked him if they're ever going to win a playoff game. And I just started laughing my ass off.
Bags, they won one this year, so shut up.
And Dominican Sue, he worked out with us.
Is he a horrible person?
He was pretty cool. He was just looked mean.
Yeah, right. That's pretty much just what it is. I think he's just a mean.
Rogers, Clay Matthews, Palomalu. They brought in some dudes. Peyton worked it a couple years ago.
Good try, bringing in the big guns.
DJ told me that Peyton was a dick. But Gronk worked it, and he said Gronk was the fucking man.
Oh, I can imagine.
Gronk was so much fun, and the kids loved him. But Peyton apparently, threw a couple passes to the kid and was, out.
Fucking give me my money. Let me get out of here. I got a behind-the-scenes fucking detail to do for ESPN.
Best story of all of it, though. So they would go out with our coaches to the bars before they would talk to the kids the next day. So either if they got there late, they'd come right to the camp and then go out with our coaches and stay that night, or they'd come the night before. And Jay Cutler came the night before, ripped it up with our coaches, and he was just a huge hangover ball walking in talking to kids. Just you could just tell he was so ripped up from the night before. It was
dude,
great.
That's how he played on Sundays too, so not a surprise.
I love Jay Cutler.
Ripping the heater, that meme of him is fucking amazing.
Oh, I love it. I've always loved Jay Cutler. He just does not give a fuck about anybody. So, Kev, episode 9, I thought maybe we'd bring back something that we had visited a couple episodes ago.
Bring it back.
Kev, what do you think about going into our Take It With a Grain of Salt segment again?
Oh, a little Salt Bay on him out there.
But I thought maybe I'd fire him at you this time.
Of course.
Okay.
Get me unprepared. I like it.
Dun, dun, dun.
How many you got for me?
I'm going to fire off takes at you, Kev, and I'm going to see whether you think they are Fuego or Frio.
I'm down. Let's do it.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, so I've broken these down into a couple of different sports here and there, so we're going to get a little flow going with it.
I like it.
First off, obviously everyone's seen Hall of Fame yesterday. Is Mariano Rivera deserving of the only unanimous decision in the Hall of Fame?
The way you word the question, it's a Frio take, all right? It's a cold take because he's not the only one that deserves it.
Exactly.
The truth is he does deserve it, okay? He was 100, but Ken Griffey Jr., Cal Ripken Jr., Nolan Ryan, Tom Seaver, any of these guys are all 100% first ballot Hall of Famer. So whoever those old white farts are that finally got off the high horse and were like, all right, I'll fucking put in Mariano Rivera. I guess I won't be literally one of two. I think it was two for Griffey who didn't vote him in. Like, fuck yourself if you're one of those two guys. Seriously. Like, you shouldn't be allowed to vote anymore. So...
That is exactly why I asked you this question, because I think it is freaking ridiculous. You go through the number of players that have gotten inducted in the Hall of Fame, and just because baseball doesn't think that they all should be unanimous, it's ridiculous. And I guarantee they put Mariano Rivera in now with the unanimous decision because Jeter's coming up soon, and they're like, well, Jeter's got to be. He's the guy.
Jeter's next year.
Yeah, he's going to be the unanimous.
And they're talking about the available votes for next year become a lot more wide open because the amount of names entering the ballot aren't as strong, and they're saying your 100% of votes for Rivera are going to transfer directly over to 100% votes for Jeter, so those are going to wash. But every one of those other votes of people who either got in or are falling off the ballot can now be spread out to your Bonds, your Clemens, and those things. So you may see jumps in those middle tiers next year just due to the names not being as diverse.
I just think that baseball finally got off their high horse, and we're going to see it more often. And
it was those two assholes who did it to Griffey, and the entire world stood up and said, you guys can fuck yourselves. And they were like, all right, well, I guess we'll vote for Rivera and then Jeter. And they should be one of 5 to 10. But yes, Rivera deserves that honor for sure.
I think also social media, now that these guys are getting outed as like, hey, you're the asshole who didn't vote for Ken Griffey Jr.? Yeah, well, we didn't want it to be unanimous. Well, fucking, you're an idiot.
So that's the other thing, right? About half of the votes are now public, and Clemens and Bonds on the public votes were getting upwards of 65 to 70% of the votes. So when those numbers came out in the 50s, it was definitely these private guys who want nothing to do with that entire steroid era.
Well, it's a good thing you asked that, because that was my next question to you.
Oh, hit me, baby.
Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Hall of Fame? Question mark?
As a player who still knows players in the league and players in the minors, the answer is no. As a fan and somebody who wants to see baseball regain its popularity, come back into the forefront, because obviously the fans are getting old and the average age is your 70-year-old white guy, you got to put these guys in just for what they did to the game. And the stats are there and everything's there. So as a fan, I say yes. But as a player and having conversation with players who say people who use steroids cheated and I busted my ass to get here, so fuck those guys, I can certainly see how people want nothing to do with it, because it's a slippery slope. Like you said, if you let one or two in, all of a sudden you got to open the door for the entire decade.
Well, here's the way I look at it. If you're not going to vote for these guys and these guys aren't going to get in, don't put them on the fucking ballot. I think when you look at the ballot, you see Barry Bonds, arguably the best hitter of all time. I've seen that motherfucker play before he blew up like a balloon. He was on his way to being a Hall of Famer then as well. And then you got Roger, who's the most decorated pitcher of all time. So if you're going to keep them off.
I mean, Roy Halladay got in first ballot because one of his main statistics was he won a Cy Young in each league, one in the National League and one in the American League. He's one of 6 people to ever do it. Well, Roger Clemens is one of the other 6, and he won 1 in the National League and 6 in the American League. So
it's unbelievable.
Halladay won 2 total, and Clemens won 7. So in that instance, he's a literally 98% first ballot Hall of Famer. All it is, man, is the roids and the old heads going, I'm not fucking voting for anybody who did it. So to your point on why are they still on the ballot, it's because you get 10 years of eligibility on the ballot, which Edgar Martinez made it on his last year. So there is something to that. It's now or never, but if you get at least, I want to say 10 to 15% of the vote, that's how you stay on the ballot for the following year. But because they're getting 50s, they're not going anywhere. They may never make that jump across the 75 mark you got to hit to get in. Next year's the year to watch, based on what I said, with the amount of votes.
If you let AROD in, which I have no doubt he's going to get in.
He's not getting in right now.
I'm telling you right now, he's going to get in.
He's not getting in right now.
I'm telling you, he's going to get in. And
he only gets in if these people get in, dude. He's in the same light, man. He was an asshole as a player. Nobody fucking liked him.
He served his fucking time.
Nobody liked him. He was suspended twice. which means he's already out. Anybody suspended is out. Like Robinson Cano, he's not making it. He may have the stats after a few years. Like
I don't know about that, man. I bet you A-Rod's going to get in, and I'm telling you that.
Gentleman's betting a decade, but if Clemens and Bonds get in, A-Rod gets in. If they never make it, there's no shot A-Rod gets in. If Bonds isn't in, A-Rod's not in.
There's no way of us being able to fucking do that, because if Bonds and... So you're saying you don't think Bonds and Clemens are ever getting in?
If they don't get in, he's not getting in. If Barry Bonds is not in, A-Rod's not in. It's as simple as that.
Okay. And if they do get in, then this whole argument is moot, because...
So we'll know in a few years. We'll know in a few years.
All right, so segueing off of that, my next question, taking it off the Hall of Fame vote, the owners, free agency. We were talking earlier, NFL, NBA, you can't wait for free agency. First day, boom, everybody's getting signed, 12:01, even ones are getting leaked out before that.
Yeah, the NFL created the 48-hour tampering window just because shit was getting leaked prior to 12:01.
Baseball has been, I had to ask you, when the fuck is baseball free agency? It's been going on for months now.
Dude, it starts a week after the World Series.
My question to you, is there a conspiracy going on throughout the owners? They don't want to pay these guys this fucking absurd amount of money that they're asking for.
So that is the current unspoken fuego take across players right now, is that the players are communicating to each other that there's absolutely no reason that, last year it was J.D. Martinez who didn't sign into the middle of February with the Red Sox and got $25 a year. And that turned out to be a pretty good signing as the fucking World Series is won. So now you're telling me you got Manny Machado and Bryce Harper, right? Bryce Harper's 26 years old. He's won an MVP literally up until last year, dude. If you remember this, halfway through the season, running through first base, he slipped on first base when it was wet and banged up his knee and his leg. And since then, he had a down second half. Then he came out, said he got too hyped up on the launch angle, had a shitty first half, hit 214, got back to his roots of hitting line drives, hit over 300 in the second half. So you got a guy coming into his prime who's clearly a superstar. I mean, did you watch the fucking home run derby, dude? It was one of the most exciting home run derbies in recent memory.
Oh, dude, it was electric.
The guy is a draw. He's going to sell tickets. He's one of the names you recognize in the sport. And you're telling me he's not worth $30 million over 10 years over the course of his fucking prime? 7 years, 175 for Machado is a fucking steal for anybody out there. But the problem is they're getting into the tanking mode where there's only 3 to 4 bidders for all these top athletes, and they're not going to bid against themselves. So you can't tell me they're not, getting on the phone and saying, hey, let's not go above 250 for these guys and, get into a bidding war and 300 and 350. Let's keep it low, make them decide between 250 and 265. And we won't fucking waste our money on contracts like Josh Hamilton and Albert Pujols and all those people who, at the end of their deals, suck.
Yeah, that sounds like that's leading us right to a fucking lockout.
The players are not happy with it, for sure. They're expecting a lot more money than they're eventually getting.
There sure seems like there's a conspiracy theory going on, but I just don't think that there's this much communication between owners being like, no, we're all not going to pay him, because somebody's going to eventually crack.
Well, that's the thing, man. You don't have to talk to 30 people because there's only fucking 5 to 7 who could possibly be involved when you get across that, $150, $200 million mark anyway.
Don't you think there's going to be a fucker that comes in and hears all this shit and is like, all right, well, I'm going to go above all these motherfuckers?
You would think, man, but this is, drug cartel type shit, bro. They're behind closed doors calling each other one off. Oh, do you want to randomly get coffee at this shop and run into each other? Oh, you do? Perfect.
These people handle way more money than I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, so, there's fucking tight circles.
Leave it up to them, I guess. Getting off the whole baseball topic, I wanted to switch to a little NBA.
Association chatter. I like it.
Oh, yes. The NBA is becoming the most popular organization in the USA today. Carmelo traded. So it's already come out he's not going to fucking play with them. They're going to release him. My question to you, does he end up on a contender?
So first I'll tell you where he's going to end up, and then I'm going to ask you a follow-up question.
Oh, man.
He's going to end up on the Lakers, which right now is a contending team. he's going to run their second unit when LeBron comes off the court because, especially with Lonzo Ball out the next 4 to 6 weeks, they need somebody with the ball in their hands who can score for him, and that's a role that he can fill. So he's not going to start for him, but if they can convince him to say, hey, these 4 to 6 minutes you're going to get with the twos, you're going to be the guy. I want you to come in here and fucking shoot.
Melo doesn't come off the fucking bench. He said that at the beginning.
Right? So that's my follow-up question to you is, who's your favorite Melo? Chicago Bulls Melo or Atlanta Hawks Melo? Are you going to get a Bulls Melo jersey or a Hawks jersey? They both traded for him and then cut him immediately.
The Hawks Melo jersey. Have you seen the Hawks jerseys? Those things are fresh.
Get the Hawks Melo. Put it next to your Frank Gore Eagles jersey, and you'll be good.
There it is. Which one was longer? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'd go Hawks. I like the Hawks uniforms with the yellow and the red.
Get that
That's
neon.
a good question.
I love it.
So, keeping with the NBA, keeping with the Western Conference, if the Lakers get Melo, Saturday you saw Boogie come back.
Yeah.
Is there anyone beating these fucking Warriors with him now?
Free-o take, baby. Basketball's over. It's been over since the first game of the year, my man. It is.
Yeah.
The Warriors and everybody else. Even fucking Steph Curry's slipping and then throwing up air balls and they're laughing at it, dude. It's the Rockets. They're clearly not what they were last year, so it's not going to be them. The Thunder isn't them. You know, they're not going to challenge them late in the year. It's, you know, whoever comes out of the East may give them a run, dude. But it's the question is how many games are the Warriors going to win each round in, not whether or not they're going to win.
Well, you know, there's always a team in the West that comes up and plays them tough and gives them a game, and you're like, oh my God, this is the year the Warriors aren't going to make it. And then boom, fucking 3 games later, they're moving on. And you're right, that play was ridiculous. It just shows how much lack of defense in the NBA is. Steph Curry literally was on a fast break, slipped, got up. Iguodala hands him the ball, and he's like, here, shoot a 3. It's like, where the hell are the defenders? No hustle. It's crazy.
Right, you had Klay Thompson scoring 30 points on literally 3 dribbles, 10 for 10 from 3-pointers. It's not, you're not beating them, man.
Going on to NFL, moving on from the NBA here. Our boy got a little blast in the media today. What's your take? Dude, the Eagles locker room sure as hell looks like it's fucking a split here, and all the leaders of the team are sticking with Wentz because, hey, maybe that's because Doug Pearson's like, you got to back our guy here.
So what you're referring to is the article that was released this week saying that internally within the organization there's friction regarding Carson Wentz and he's rubbing certain people the wrong way.
Yes, and I just love in the article how they don't say he doesn't work hard. He works very hard. The article just kind of felt forced to me at points. My question to you is, if you're in that locker room, who would you rather go with, Wentz or Foles?
If you're in the locker room and you're a player with nothing else to go on but feel and results within the locker room, you got to say Foles. It's clearly Foles with no political association, no draft pick association, no compensation association. Like, if you're just looking at the squad, all things equal, I think in this instance with Peterson and Foles, you would probably roll with Foles. However, it's not the fucking world we live in, and when you invest 3 first-rounders into somebody who measurably checks all the boxes, he's big, he's fast, he makes every throw, he's smart, he's hardworking, he's got great character, you're obviously going to go with Carson Wentz just because he's going to sell jerseys, he's not going to get in trouble, and you can market him as one of the top players in the league. Having said that, there is an immense amount of pressure, and Wentz has come out and said that too. You know, following Foles is going to be a tough act, and he's going to have to improve this offseason and a lot of things that, you know, he didn't take that next step, whether it was because of the knee or the missed time, but he just didn't develop kind of how we had anticipated.
I just love how people forget about last year and how, yes, I completely understand that Foles came in, won the Super Bowl, got hot. I just feel like when people talk about Foles and Wentz, they just fucking completely forget about his MVP caliber year last year and don't even address the fact that he was probably coming off an injury, one of the hardest injuries to come back from, and to trust yourself from, because mentally that's a tough thing to get over. And I just feel like Wentz has to be the guy because he's proven he's the guy. He's just got to stay healthy. And I know that's scary, but fuck it. You got to take chances.
Well, that's part of the problem with Wentz.
You invest so much. You invested so many draft picks and everything in this guy. You got to go until it doesn't work. And, yeah, you bought yourself some grace period. Nick Foles gave you that grace period. I think the Eagles go 14-2 last year, fucking demolish the Falcons. The fucking Vikings stay status quo. And I think the Patriots probably a similar result.
A lot of people think that, but obviously, you can say the opposite. Wentz would come out sucking, they'd lose. So the problem is, you mentioned his MVP season, is that's a tough bar to set for yourself. Because in Philadelphia, you're not allowed to regress whatsoever, even if you're literally the best player in the sport. If you become the second best player in the sport, that's now unacceptable. This year for Wentz was another great year statistically. The team didn't perform at its best. The defense was injured while he was playing. There were a lot more variables involved than just Wentz. However, your Philadelphia fan loves to look at it saying, well, 2 years ago he was 14-2 or 12-2 and we should have won it all. And this year he was not nearly as good as he was last year. So clearly he's going to continue on this path and get worse and worse and worse, as opposed to allowing for a sophomore slump or third-year slump for a guy who's still trying to figure it out when the league's obviously making adjustments to what he's been successful with.
It's going to be interesting to see what the hell happens. Obviously, the Eagles have decided that they're going to go with Wentz. I back them 100% with that. Foles, thanks for everything. Love you. I'll miss you. You're our favorite number 9 on the 2Close2Call podcast.
That's it.
And I'm excited to see what happens with Wentz when there's no pressure, without having Foles in the background there. When Wentz first played and Foles was his backup, Wentz didn't know what Foles was going to come in and win his fucking Super Bowl. He went out there and he played, and everybody rallied around him, and that's what it was.
Stop looking over his shoulder.
I'm excited to get back to that and to forget about it and just hopefully re-sign Foles and trade him to somebody and get some draft picks for it. Leading into next year, leading up to the big game that's coming in next week, Jared Goff gets drafted, the pick before Wentz in the, 2015, 2016 draft. My question to you is, Goff goes in there, beats Brady, does what Foles did last year, and not Carson Wentz. Is that even more added pressure on Carson Wentz next year?
Absolutely, it would be. The question I have for you is it better or worse for the Goff-Wentz motivation if Goff wins or if he loses? Because if he wins, there's obviously that extra amount of pressure we just talked about. Hey, Goff got one, Foles has one, you don't have one. But if he loses, it's like, yeah, he made it, but he didn't win it, so I'm still okay. Now I'm a little bit more free and easy. What are your thoughts in regards to those?
Too much pressure can be detrimental to a player. I think if you pile on the fact that you're not only your friend Jared Goff, who got drafted, you have the same agent, that fucking happens, he gets fucking paid after winning a Super Bowl, and the city you're playing in is doubting you, I think that could be a little too much pressure. Now, Goff goes, makes the Super Bowl, obviously, but Brady wins.
I think we're rooting for the Patriots, man.
I sure am. I mean, I think that is enough pressure for Wentz to be like, okay, Jared got there. I probably already would have gotten there if I'd stayed healthy. Let's fucking do this thing.
First one to win one. Let's go.
It's not like it's Dak Prescott who's in the division and fucking doing it. It's Goff. He's at the Super Bowl. Great. You were there last year. He didn't play, but go Patriots. I mean, do you think there's clout in saying that too much pressure is bad?
Oh, sure, man. Pressure can kill you or it can make diamonds. One of the two.
Hey,
we're going to learn real quick, man.
There's that Lehigh education.
That's it, baby. We're going to learn real quick which one Wentz is.
You're going to learn today. So, guys, that was our Take It With a Grain of Salt. I'm going to post these questions on our social media accounts, on Instagram, on Twitter. I want you guys to let us know what you guys think, whether you think they are hot or cold. Let us know what you thought about our responses to everything. We're going to have to bring this one back. You fire some at me next time.
That's it, man. I enjoyed that little back and forth. So I think we had some good discussion. So like Pag said, that's our first segment. Coming up here now, we're actually going to have our interview with a high school teammate of both of ours, gentleman offensive lineman Michael Fay, who went on to play at Kent State University for 3 years. He actually played with Julian Edleman at Kent State. Julian was his quarterback, if you can believe that. Not a wide receiver in college, but a quarterback. So him and Mikey had a good relationship, obviously that O-line quarterback relationship. And also during Mike's redshirt freshman year, the Miami, Ohio Redbirds, I don't fucking know their exact name, but they came into town. There you go, Red Hawks. Sean McVay was on that squad and played against Mike his freshman year. So we'll get his thoughts on Julian Edleman, some behind-the-scenes stories, some college time stories I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy, and get his thoughts on the upcoming Super Bowl and what he thinks is going to happen.
I believe Big Ben was standing on the sidelines for that game, too.
Oh, there you go. That's right. Miami, Ohio alum.
And Antonio Gates was on the Kent State sideline with James Harrison. That's all my Mack knowledge for
It was
you, right?
VIP, baby, VIP. So you guys hang on out there. We'll get into the interview here shortly.
Coach, you were 5-79 last year. Why the playoff talk?
Well, we made a couple of key trades, and we got the funk.
This interview with Michael Fay is brought to you by TheRamKing.com. Visit www.theramking.com for all your t-shirt needs. Free delivery, free design. Visit www.theramking.com. Joining us now is a gentleman, Michael Fay, who through his high school career was named second-team All-State and first-team All-Conference in all area as a senior. He then decided to take his talents to Kent State University, where his first year he redshirted. Understandable, he's playing with the big boys. Over the course of the next 3 years, he actually started 32 of a possible 36 games at left guard. Everybody please welcome our friend and stud Mack offensive lineman, Mikey Fay.
Yo, what's up? What's up, boys?
Welcome, Mike. Thanks for joining the 2Close2Call podcast, man. We appreciate your time.
Dude, I'm pumped to be on. I love what you guys are doing. You're taking, your passion and you're doing something with it, and it's really fun to listen to you guys. So it's an honor to be on here with you boys.
We appreciate you coming on. And the reason we have you on is your collegiate experience is actually very relevant to today's NFL landscape.
Yes, it is.
We're going to start out with, actually, how you ended up at Kent State from Parkland. Take me through kind of the recruiting process. Was it the only official visit you took? Where else were you looking? You know, how did you end up at Kent State?
Well, I'm just a Parkland kid like you guys, just having fun, doing my best in high school, and then getting after it with the boys. And all of a sudden, the coaches told me that people are interested in me, which I, was kind of blown away. I said, oh, that's awesome. So I started getting people coming to the high school, tons of schools, anything from the PSAC, like Westchester and East Stroudsburg and Bloomsburg and all these schools, and a couple other, some Ivy Leagues, because my grades were pretty decent, and William and Mary, like where Pags went. I really wanted to go to Lehigh.
That's it, baby.
So I got a call from, my two biggest ones were Toledo and Kent State. And Toledo wanted me to get to 300 pounds before I came on my visit, and I was like 240. And I was like, dude, I don't know, man.
Can't eat that many peanut butter and jellies, man.
Yeah, I don't know how many rookies' wing nights that would take. Anyway, Kent State, I went out there with my dad, and I didn't know anything about it, never heard of it, actually. I thought it was the purple team. It's Kansas State. Is it Kansas State?
Yeah, there you go. That's
the Wildcats.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, oh yeah, it's a purple cat team. So I thought I was like, what the hell is Kent? So we went out, my dad and I, out Route 80, and we went on this visit. It was kind of a surreal experience, and everybody kind of treating me like royalty, and I was like, what the heck is going on? I ate like a king, and at the end of it, I sat in Doug Martin's coaching room, and he looked at me and goes, we want to give you a full scholarship. And at that point, I was like, oh my God, you're going to pay for me to go to college? And my heart was racing a million miles a minute. And I said, okay, well, I'd like to talk. He goes, don't answer, talk to your dad. And I said, thank you very much. And my dad and I drove home, and I said, it's kind of scary. It's far away. I never heard of it. And we kind of decided that, well, let's go big, So we pulled the trigger on it because it's, it is Division I, single A, even though it's like an unheard of school. It's the highest I could have went.
Oh, so we know all about the Tuesday Maction, baby. That Tuesday night national TV schedule. Pags wanted to know, did you play any of those games?
No, that came out after I was done. I was jealous.
I text Mahalik once a week, like, dude, Maction, Tuesday, Wednesday night. I want to know how they plan their week of practice.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to act like I'm an AD for a Division I program, but it seems like a sellout. Like, hey, yeah, let's get some notoriety and really screw our sports programs out of getting some practice time. But I mean, looking back, 2020 hindsight, I made one of my best friends, a dude that's a solid dude. He was in my wedding, Chris Sanzamino, and that's one reason why I would never change what happened. But I'd be a liar to say that I really thoroughly enjoyed my time in Kent, Ohio.
You didn't enjoy redshirting and get to 300 pounds? Come on, man. They gave you an extra year to put on the weight.
Two things out of that description there, Fay. One, you said you were getting Ivy League looks, and then you go to a school with the motto that you told me, Kent Reed, Kent Wright, Kent State.
How about it? Yeah, but also, I don't have to pay for it. Kent Reed, Kent Wright.
I get it. I just think
Kent make me pay. No, it's totally true. It's totally true. I mean, hey, look, here's how you know that it was, A, an easy school, and B, I didn't have too much fun. I was the Leo E. Strang Award winner for the highest GPA on my entire football team of 120 guys. I had a 3.6 GPA.
Oh, baby.
That means it was easy and that I didn't enjoy myself because I found studying better than any alternative.
Well, you clearly stretched yourself majoring in social studies based on what I was reading.
Tough one. Very tough.
Well, like me and you and Lehigh and Wayne Mary, respectively, we tended to toe the bottom of the line.
Let's just say I had 2 semesters where I was on double secret probation, and I had to pull out 2.0s to keep my money. And when those grades were released, it was a fucking party.
There was one semester where I literally needed a 1.82 to toe the line. My dad looked at me and goes, there's no way you're not going to get a 2.0, right? Comes back, I got a 1.82, and I was like, oh my God, I'm moving on. One more year.
Now, how is that even possible? What is a 2.0? Is that a C?
C average.
Get degrees, baby.
Dude, how do you even get a 1.82? Like, what do you do?
Get a fucking D.
Yeah, multiple D's, C minuses, retaking classes.
I wanted to be a business major, and I realized it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, it's called finance, accounting.
I can't remember all these words. I can't grasp the concepts and do beer bongs.
What is this?
So
the other thing I took was, you sold yourself short, buddy. You said Kent State was the furthest you can go. I am a firm believer that me, you, Owen, other guys, if we would have had one more year to get a little bit bigger, we would have went even further, even higher.
Dude, I think if we would have just marketed ourselves, I mean, if I go back now, like I said in the beginning here, I was just a high school kid having fun. I didn't even know anyone wanted me to play college football. If I could have been like, hey, Penn State, you should take me. I'll get big. Don't worry. I'll fight hard. I'm second team All-State. I would have marketed myself. But
like that guy we played against in the East West game.
Yeah. You got a hand under my underarms.
You got him under my underarms.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, at the end of the day, man, of course, obviously, it's a blessing to be able to play the sport and to have school paid for, and that, so I don't want to sound like too much of an arrogant jerk here, but
Amen.
Yeah, and we mentioned your experience is relevant because your freshman year, your redshirt freshman year, the 2007 season, as we've come to find out via NBC, ABC, Fox, all of these affiliates, they're all running that. Sean McVay actually played in the Mack, and he was a senior in 2007 while you were chilling hungover on the sidelines for that game.
Yeah, how about that? I saw that and I was like, huh? What are you talking about? This guy played for Miami, Ohio? I thought it was only Ben Roethlisberger.
Exactly.
But yeah, I saw that. It's kind of crazy, right there with my buddy on that infographic they had there. They beat us apparently 20-13, shocker. But my buddy Julian Edleman was the quarterback, of course. Eugene Jarvis, the nation's leading returning rusher. He was like a 5'4", I don't know. He's really short. You got to fact check that. But he was a really short dude from Pittsburgh. But he won a state championship at Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Really cool dude. And then they had Sean McVay on the stat line. And he had, a couple catches and some yards, but it didn't seem to impress it to me. I was like, damn, I didn't know. But that's impressive to think that.
Right. Did you think 10, 11 years later he'd be coaching an NFL team and you'd be here coaching high school football?
Yeah, he's like getting ready for a Super Bowl, and I'm like, packing my clothes for work tomorrow. Like, what am I going to wear?
Supermodels.
Yeah, it's like, what the heck's the deal? But, hey, kudos to him.
Yeah, he seems to be a genius, man. He has that mastermind going with him and Geoff. They seem to be on the same page.
Fuck them. Fay, you had mentioned the big tie to this whole entire interview, Julian Edleman being your quarterback for 2 years with Kent State.
Yeah.
I guess my first question is, when he was playing, could you get an idea that, hey, this guy's going to go somewhere someday?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, Edelman was awesome to play with. I mean, he was incredible. And as an offensive lineman, he's the kind of guy, like, it really matters who your quarterback is, because you get around him and there's this little tiny skinny kid compared to you, and you can just smash him. But you look up to him and you know that they're the one that's going to make the play happen. And Edelman was special. Like, he was the kind of guy that when he was in the huddle, I always knew we had a chance. And he was a fierce competitor, and he made it really easy to block for him. We had a thing called scat protection, which people who know the ins and outs of football know that's, five-man protection. There's no back. It's just five linemen protecting. And Edelman was awesome in scat protection because, he would allow it to break down, and that's when he would run. So we were actually one of the top 5 rushing offenses.
Yeah, I was going to ask what type of style of offense you guys ran, because he was actually your leading rusher, one if not multiple years during your time.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. So we were a spread offense, a traditional spread. We did the zone read, we did the speed option. We were doing some RPO game and stuff like that.
Before it was hot, baby. Look at that.
Yeah, like some of the same concepts. But Edelman, like in the 5-step drop, a lot of his rushing yards, first of all, he pulled every zone read. Like, like he would take a give read and pull it every time.
He's like, fuck that guy. I'm keeping this.
Yeah, he's like, that D, I'm just not going to get me. So he did pretty well there. But on scat protection, he would just let the protection break down after like 7 seconds of blocking for him. And then he would just literally run a circle around, which was annoying as an offensive lineman because I'm chasing the D lineman around the field. And then he goes, hell with it, tucks it, and runs for like 22 yards.
Well, that's what I was going to get at. Those fuckers are blocking for 5, 6, 7 seconds. That shit's hard when you don't even know where the quarterback is behind you. You can easily just turn and block him right into the quarterback because you have no idea where your quarterback is. Did that get tough as it was happening every fucking play?
Well, I'd like to say yes, but the answer is no, because really what I would end up doing is just be like, hell with it, and just watch him and be like, damn, he's good. We were playing Buffalo, they were the Mack champs that year.
Was Khalil Mack?
You'd have to check that. I think he may have been. I'm finding out as I go here that, like, for example, Mohammad Wilkerson played for Temple. And I didn't know that. I'm not like super plugged in. I play the sports, but I'm not like you guys. I don't know all the ins and outs. I just show up and I play, and then I go home and I hang out and do whatever. I don't really like watch sports much. In fact, in college, I refused to watch ESPN because I was so sick of working out every day and lifting and running and just like not going home for Thanksgiving and being out there all summer. Like, dude, enough with the sports. Put on like a Mozart or something.
So it wasn't with Edelman there, but you did play against Khalil Mack in 2010 as he was a redshirt freshman. It would have been your redshirt junior year.
I see too.
I remember with this Mohammad Wilkerson guy with Temple, we were playing that at home, and our first play of the game was a dive to the right, like an inside zone to the right. I think he was 91. I forget his number now, but he just he caught me with my right foot in the air because I'm left guard, and I was zone stepping right, and he caught me with my right foot in the air and just lifted me off the ground and threw me back and tackled the guy in the backfield. And I was like, oh, Jesus. Call pass plays.
Yeah. When you know that you have a guy that's going to bull rush the scenario, you just fucking pass. I don't care. I can set on him.
Yeah, run a draw.
Yeah, exactly.
I got him.
Man.
I got him on the draw.
So
Let him
run a misdirection pass.
how long into your career, I guess, was it up until his senior year that he started getting looks and you guys were aware of potential scouts being there? Because I do see he was a 7th-round pick, so that's certainly not automatic to, advance into the NFL.
Well, I remember it. I was getting my ankles taped, and there was this big hubbub in the training room because the Patriots scouts were there. And we were like, oh, snap, like, Edelman is like an NFL quarterback? Like, that's crazy. Really, they're scouting him as a punt returner. And I didn't know this till later, but our head coach had Julian returning punts. I thought he was just doing it as a senior. I thought he was just doing it because Edelman was such a freak that it's like, it's a good idea, like put the freak back there, let him return. But he was actually doing it as a courtesy, like, hey, you probably aren't going to be a quarterback, but you're awesome. Let's give you some film. So I found that out later. That's why he was doing it, which is cool. And sure enough, the Patriots wanted him, and that's when I said, and I'll take credit for this, but I said to all the guys, I was like, Julian is the mini Wes Welker, because Wes Welker was like the hot hand at the Patriots at that time. And I said, he's just like Wes Welker, so I could see him being a wide receiver or a punt returner. And then he made it to the NFL, and next thing I know, on TV, they're saying, it's the new Wes Welker. I was like, hey, I said that. That's my idea.
I was going to question your college coach's if he was having his starting quarterback returning punts just for the hell of it. I was like, I don't know if that's the best idea.
I know. I didn't think that deeply. I was like, I thought it was good initially. Yeah, Julian was like a man of steel. Like, you could just crush him, and he just gets up. And that was another cool thing about him. He was from California, and everyone, thought he was a Cali kid. But no, he like in the cold of Ohio, which is like, Cleveland gets like the most snow of any city in the United States, and it'd be freezing cold, and like the Cali kid can't handle it, but like he was a beast. I remember I was in Julian's car. It was a snowy day. We had 5 a.m. workouts, and I was in the little Chevy S10, whatever it is, that little crappy Chevy truck that he had with California plates, and we were doing donuts in the parking lot before 5 a.m. workouts, and I was scared for my life, man, but he was just like raising hell, and he didn't care. That's kind of how he was, like super risk taker, just have fun, live on the edge kind of guy. And
yeah, you mentioned, California kid, and coming into the league, he was very confrontational, I guess. The rap was, he was jarring at everybody after they tackled him. He talked shit. You listen to the Pat McAfee show, and he wouldn't even say hello to Pat McAfee when he was telling him how good he is as a punt returner early in his career. And as recently as this postseason, we've seen some behind the scenes and on the NFL and Showtime where he's catching the ball and he's telling the defensive back, hey, man, I like the way you play. So it seems to be like his personality started off as me against the world, everyone's against me, and now he's kind of realizing, hey, I've been super successful. I need to, open up a little bit. During your time, obviously, him being a college kid, 18 to 21-year-olds were all a little bit stupid. But I guess what kind of a person was he, off the field? You being one of his linemen, I'm sure he took care of you guys.
The way you explained first, that stubborn, kind of in-your-face chip on the shoulder is the Julian that I knew. And I agree. I've been kind of noticing, watching him. He seems to be coming into his own. Like, I think I would have to believe he always believed in himself because, that's how he played. But it seems like he kind of knows that he made it, and he's kind of settled into himself. That's kind of my sideline psychoanalysis of him.
No,
but
for sure.
He was definitely a chip on the shoulder kind of guy, but and he's I don't want to use the word selfish because he wasn't selfish, but he wasn't like at least not to me or the lineman. He wasn't necessarily buddy with everybody. He was just really driven. He was just really driven. Like kind of like Owen guys. Like if you remember how Owen was, he wasn't a selfish guy, but he also wasn't like the chummiest of pals because he was such a driven dude. He was cool, though. I mean, he would take us to, me and my buddy Chris Anzavino, we would go to this place called Wild Goats. And we would go out to breakfast, and he didn't pay for us, but he's trying to have a freaking jerk.
Well, at that point, he wasn't getting fed, the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, he didn't have any money back then. But, yeah, maybe, Julian, you can Venmo me if you're listening. You can Venmo me for, give me a few bucks. Yeah, we were there, and there's this waitress, and he looked at her, and he said something so cheesy, like, "Hey, beautiful." He was expecting her to be like, "Oh, my God, yes, I love you." And she was like, "Ew, shut up." And it was like, "Hey, we play football for the local college team. You don't say that." You don't say that.
You don't say that.
Yeah, it's funny, man. But he's a good dude, great teammate. I mean, in terms of just a hard worker, you could definitely trust him. I didn't finish that Buffalo story. I want to tell that because it's the best example of him. It was something like 3rd and 10. There's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and Buffalo was the team to beat that year. And we were on the 20, coming out the negative 20. And Julian pulled the ball and ran for it, and he got tackled 6 yards short by 3 dudes. And he just pushed. And in the film, you can see at the very end as he's dragging, he sticks the ball out and just gets the first. And we were winning at that point. And had he not gotten that first, we would have had to punt, and they probably would have came down and kicked the field goal for the win. But it was just a great single effort, a good individual effort, second, third, fourth effort that got us to win that game. And I'll never forget that. I was like, man, this guy has a humongous heart. I could not have done that. And so it's no shock to me that that's how he's made a name for himself in the NFL. Not only is he skilled and quick and all that, but I think the thing that sets him apart is just his work ethic and his tenacity.
Well, you see that in just the way he plays the game. He's probably one of the best wide receivers that can block out there. The catch in the final drive against the Falcons in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah, he says, "I caught it." He goes, "I caught it. I caught it."
Unbelievable. Probably the most iconic catch until Nick Foles' catch. Hey-o, Eagles Super Bowl champs 2008.
Yep.
Holla.
Mikey, do you think he gets his second Super Bowl ring next weekend?
I think so, dude. I mean, come on. It's the Rams. They're not going to win. I mean, who knows? You never know. But it's Tom Brady. It's Bill Belichick. And it's this new rookie guy. And it's the storyline we have. The oldest, been there, done that guy, and the new up-and-comer. And I think McVay's got to take a lump first before he makes it. That's
the
just
same storyline was last year, buddy.
Yeah, I know about it. But that was a magical year.
It's going to be his third?
Who, Edelman's?
Yeah. Didn't he win when they beat the Seahawks?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Edelman was big time in that game. Isn't it his 3 in a row?
And then he won with the Falcons.
Well, listen to these postseason stats. He has 105 career postseason receptions, which is second all-time. He's got 1,271 yards, which is fourth all-time, with 5 touchdowns. So if he gets 40,
behind Jerry Rice?
If he gets 44 yards, he'll vault up to second all-time behind Jerry Rice in both receptions and yards.
Second best receiver of all time.
In the playoffs.
Well, I mean, that's all that matters.
So that's why his Hall of Fame talk is starting to pick up a little bit, just because he keeps balling out in every playoffs.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, he deserves everything that's coming to him, that's for sure.
Anyway, Mikey, we appreciate you joining the 2Close2Call cast. We appreciate your insights into Julian and taking us behind the scenes there into some of your experiences with him in college and some off-the-field stories you shared with us. So we appreciate your time, man.
Julian, reach out to our boy here. He misses you.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Julian. Yeah, Julian. I mean, I'll never forget Boston College, your rookie year. We were playing Boston College, and you came. You're like, "Hey, I'm king of Boston these days," and you had the long hair, just like Tom Brady. You came in. You're a little bit of feeling hot about yourself because you probably just made $1 million or whatever. Yeah, holler back at us and hook me up with a couple of Super Bowl tickets. That'd be great.
That's it, Julian. So we're gonna at you with this. Be in our messages. Yeah. Let's go. Get back to Mike Fay, number 69, by the way. Why'd you pick that number, 69. Mike? What's up with that?
Wine 'em and dine 'em. Wine 'em, dine 'em, 69 'em.
That's it, baby. Yeah, I love it.
It was all John Runyon, dude. I wanted to be John Runyon.
That's a great man. Great man to idol. Michigan, baby. Go blue. So, but Mike, once again, dude, we appreciate your time, your insight. We'll be talking to you again here in the future. So thanks for joining us, man.
Keep it up. Hogs roll.
Hog roll.
Coach, you were 5 and 79 last year. Why the playoff talk?
Well, we made a couple of key trades, and we got the funk.
Welcome back to the 2Close2Call podcast. You had just heard an interview with Michael Fay, former teammate of Julian Edleman. Geoff, let's a good look into Julian Edleman in college and how he was as a teammate. I know for a fact I would have liked to flip on the channel on Tuesday night and watch him run around for a little bit.
See him on the Maction, right? DJ Archer, I think, is the only one who's been on the past couple years since they've introduced that. But no, absolutely right, man. I specifically enjoyed the story of him in the small F-150 or whatever it was doing donuts in the parking lot at 5 a.m. So it's good to know that Julian was an asshole college kid making stupid decisions out there as well.
I enjoyed hitting on the waitress at the diner, and just because he's a football player. And out there, I'm sure in the bigger schools, yeah, that works, but I bet not out in Kent, Ohio, that's working for you very much.
Yeah, coming up with a clever thing of, hey, beautiful. It's like, oh, Christ.
Classic line.
Classic Julian. Like we mentioned, we appreciate Mikey coming on, so sharing some of those stories. I'm glad we were able to get that to the listeners.
Yeah, man, and it's always good to have another O-lineman on.
Ducks fly together.
Ducks fly together. I just wanted to thank the listeners. ROSCOE, Mr. Shouty put it on me, commented to us. I need to pick my shit up. They can't even get my name right. Message loud and clear.
Gary V style, right? Living in our reviews. We got an iTunes review that was positive. It sounded like somebody we didn't know out there was intrigued by our interview. However, our boy Pugs here needs to pick it up a little bit. So, Pugs, if you could tighten up, work on the questions moving forward, we can keep our listeners. I'd appreciate it.
Listen to me. I understand. I know I need to work on stuff, and I appreciate everybody's comments and reviews.
Oh, I like it. So, yep, always willing to listen to feedback, always looking to improve. So, Pags, why don't you let them know how to continue to let us know how much we suck?
Yeah, man. 2Close2Call cast on YouTube. That is our channel. If you don't have the podcasting platforms, obviously we're on iTunes. We're now on Spotify. Nobody's really listening to us on Spotify, but I feel like that's going to be a key spot from the...
It's a nice to have, baby.
It's nice to have. Google Play. Trust me, I know iTunes. That's where I listen to my podcast. Leave reviews. Leave us 5-star ratings. With football coming to its end in the next week and a half, we're going to be much more interactive on our social media. We're going to have more segments. We're going to have stuff that we can have you guys interact with us. We're talking about maybe a top 5 list of just random stuff that we think of. It's going to be fun. We're going to want your takes on it. We're going to have your takes on our numbers. We're going to keep that going. As our podcast grows, I think we're going to get better, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
For sure. As always, we appreciate you listeners out there. We know you could listen to anything, and you've chosen to listen to us for the past hour, so we appreciate it. But as always, and most importantly, have yourself a hell of a weekend.
Amen.
Peace.